Hey, thanks for tuning in. In this video, we're doing a weekend review for the week ending January 28th. We're looking at a chart of the S&P 500. This is a weekly chart. We got a lot to talk about this week. As you can see, the histogram and the PPO down here and the volume are all telling us some interesting things. We are still in this channel. The PPO is accelerating lower. The histogram is accelerating lower and printing lower lows relative to this last low, which is what you would expect. And this ascending channel is still holding, right? Everyone thinks the world is ending, and we haven't even lost the uptrend. Think about that for a minute. As we come into Monday, there's something to take note of on every single chart. And that is, where do we close the month? Right now, I don't know why this couldn't just be one of these expanded flats. We'll see. And from a monthly standpoint, you know, that's what this looks like to me. And we got one more. And then we got that. I mean, at some point, we're going to have to run a test of one of these fibs. Zoom into the daily. Obviously an ascending channel here, or a falling wedge, or whatever you want to call this, a broadening formation. I'm okay with that. Right? We got this. Something like that. And here on every C wave, right? 1, 2. This is kind of still in play. And this imbalance is referencing this candle for Monday. So all of let's turn after hours on. Yeah. Perfect. I love that. So it doesn't really matter after hours on or not. We closed above the top of the balance, but we did not close above 444. So this is a tough one, right? SMA 10, you got to capture. But by the time we do that, I mean, it's really just to sell again, right? This slope here, the PPO is negative. The bears are in full control. Don't be fooled by any of this. And until we really get out of this declining downtrend, right? Until price gets outside of this, the high probability bet is just lower prices or sideways. And what would be ideal is for price to just break out like that. But here's what I see. I still see this, right? And until we get either print above 456, that's what I'm assuming. Every C wave is a 5-wave move. Let's go right over the Qs. Nice little broadening formation here as well. I really like this setup. If you go back to when this move started, September 2020. I mean, think about that. That's how long this impulse wave has been going on. Beautiful. Right? And then, of course, what did I say? 50% is required, right? And that's what we got. Almost to the T. 334.41, 334.15. And then as soon as they hit that level, they put in this bullish reversal on the most volume in about 10 years in the Nasdaq. Now, from a structure standpoint, I mean, that is possible, right? 5 waves down, complete on the Qs. So I'm not so sure about SPY's count. I could be wrong, but over here on Q, definitely looks about right to me. And if it's not, it would be something like this. And we'd be expecting a very shallow wave 5. Sorry, not shallow. Not the right word, but we would expect it down here about 316. And when we look at the monthly, right, because keep the context for all these charts, all she did was come into the 20, right? For whatever reason, when the Qs come into the 20, it's like the end of the world. I mean, these people haven't seen a bear market. They just haven't seen one in 12 years. And every time price comes down just a little bit, like any form of mean reversion on a monthly chart, you get every trend follower on the world saying, oh, the trend's down, the trend's down, the trend's down. What the hell are you talking about? This is an obvious uptrend. All right, so they're referencing a daily downtrend. Right? Well, a daily downtrend and a monthly uptrend is a buying opportunity. They know that. They're just afraid. You look at the weekly. How'd we close out? Wow, look at that. Right at SMA 80 and held the bottom of the channel. Everyone talking about a downtrend needs to learn how to draw a channel. This looks like an obvious uptrend. I could ask a 5-year-old and they'd say it's going up. All right, so calm down, everybody. It's not the end of the world yet. That being the case, if this is a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, it could be something a bit more nefarious. And you could be correcting not just this move, but you're correcting that move, right? Back to that 280 level and likely the 200 on the weekly. Again, that's just too far out. We can't make those predictions, right? So all we're trying to do is take it one day at a time. Recognize that this is a broadening formation. We did find demand, all right? We've been going down, okay? Just keep some context. Price in the Qs has been going down for 2 months, all right? 2 months. And for them to fix this downtrend, right, because this is an obvious downtrend on the daily, they need to recapture 356.88. And one of two things is going to happen. It's either going to be one of these scenarios, which is just a flat within the context of a 5-wave move lower, or it's going to be one of these scenarios. Well, we retrace back up to the 20 and the 40. And here's how we tell. We use the fib extension tool. And yeah, anywhere between 352, 360, 366, and 374, they're all going to tell us something else. If we can get up to 374, it means that this is a wave 3. That's how I view it. 1618, that's wave 3. If she finds supply at 366, the 200, then c'est la vie. It's a very obvious ABC up. Never cleared this high. All right, and this is obviously one of these 5-wave moves lower. So, the bulls need to print above this level. They need to capture this level, which is the confluence of a declining 20 and a declining 200. One other thing I want to point out is go back and look at your charts. When was the last time that the 10-period moving average crossed below the 200? It's not a good look. Let's go look at IWM. This is very, very weak. Very, very weak. Doji on the weekly is very nice. More volume than the COVID lows. Very nice. Right at the 38% retrace. Very nice. All of these things are technically appealing, especially if that was your wave 1, this is your wave 2, that's your wave 3, this is your wave 4. That would technically fit. This has the structure of an ABC. How do we know it has the structure of an ABC and not the structure of an impulse wave? The same way we knew on that last chart I just showed you. When I do the fib extension We're not at the 1618. For this to be a 5-wave move lower, we need to get down to 170. Also, the structure of this move, right? 1, 2, 3, 4. To me, this could very well be the ABC that you see here. Broke the high here, 227, 37. The high here, 227, 213, 71. Sorry, 226, 53. Here, 227, 13. So that's exactly what you want to see. ABC up, 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Reversal candle on volume, on time, at the right place on the chart. Okay. So that's certainly certainly something of interest, you know. And then if this doesn't hold, obviously the 170 level, 165, even 150 is all in play. And if that's the case, then what they're doing here is correcting this entire move from the context of this is a wave 1, not a wave 4. Right? I just gave you context since price held this low, right? And see how steep of a correction this wave 2 is. Only makes sense that you'd have a very shallow wave 4. So, I don't know. Just throwing out some ideas. I do like how she ended the week. I do like how she closed above this level. What you do start to see, though, is that was the 5-wave move down. Our PPO is overlapping this. So, I mean, from the daily standpoint, it's possible that this is a 5-wave move down. Okay. Very, very possible. And nothing that happened this week has changed that structure. Nothing. Now, this is the most interesting monthly candle. Are they going to close below the 20 on the monthly? Look at that PPO. Has literally gone nowhere since June. This sector, this, to be honest, looks like a top. Accelerate higher, go sideways, distribute. Accelerating volume on the downside. 1, 2, 3 bars, all accelerating in volume. More volume than we saw all last year, right? I mean, it's basically the definition of a pump and dump. Pump up on no volume, hit the peak, sellers come in, they distribute sideways over time, which is exactly what we see here. Anytime you break above balance, it's sold until you ultimately close below balance. So if IWM can't close above 207, this is a big problem. It's just that simple. And when you look at the weekly, you've got at least something to trade against. But again, right, we could still say technically that this is the structure until she closes above that 207 level. And then finally, we'll take a look at SMH. The weakest of the week. That's the most selling we've seen here since the decline started. And we now are definitively below all the moving averages I care about. This blue line, while we are below it, is a problem. It is sloping up and now starting to slope sideways. The 10, the 5 are sloping down. So you're telling me the short-term trend is down. And when I look here, this low, 248.78, 249.36. So she held that low. Okay, so that's very important to hold that low. It does save this structure. I think if you turn after hours on, you'll see that price did come up there. Yeah, so you do have a nice clean 5-wave move, nice ABC lower. You now have a real clear double bottom, and a 5-wave move lower here. Okay, so there is your ABC. Every C wave is 5 waves. So every idiot that's just looking at a daily chart is going to say that this isn't a downtrend. When you go to the monthly, it's obviously not in a downtrend. That's pretty much the case on all these charts, right? So if you have the right time frame, then this is where you should be scaling in as an investor. That's just how it works every time. And as I showed you on IWM, the 20 is coming into play. Well, here on SMH, the 20 is still well below price. The problem with all these monthlies is the PPO is just way high. So like SMH PPO is at 20. Now the PPO never really gets back to zero, but when you do get this PPO bear cross, you tend to get like a correction on the monthly, right? And that's what we have here. And more importantly, just from this video last week or a couple weeks ago, when I pulled up this monthly before, this is a bearish Harami reversal pattern, right? Bullish engulfing, gap here, bullish engulfing, doji inside, close below doji, close below engulfing. This no good. Or close below bull flag, whatever you want to call this candle. So this is a real problem. That being said, hasn't broke the monthly uptrend and has a double bottom pattern right here. So what needs to happen for this chart to improve? I mean, notice this chart can't even get above EMA 5. IWM can't get above EMA 5. QQQ and SPY are the only indexes that got above EMA 5. And let me tell you, that's not a recipe for a rally. Okay? It's just not how it works. What you need is you need IYT, which could definitely still be putting in one of these big old 1-2s. Could also be putting in an ABC on the weekly. Now we finally got that doji and we're holding a divergence. We've PPO reset to zero. Like all that looks good, but what does not look good is no new all-time high since May. And that's really how I was able to tell back in November that this was a trap. This was a bull trap across all the markets because IYT and IWM were not participating. It's that simple. You don't need to overthink it. These things have not participated going back to March. While you go back to March, look, all SPY has done is participate, right? So why not come down to 400, that same level where that non-confirmation started? Why not? Certainly can and is likely to, right? Unless IYT and IWM go back to all-time highs. And that's just not what we're seeing yet. And what I am seeing is weekly closes below my blue line on every major index. And that hadn't happened since the COVID crash. We haven't had a daily SMA 10 cross below the 200 on all these major indexes since the COVID crash. So that's enough technicals here. I think you get the picture. I don't really see any flight to safety anywhere, right? Think about this. December, TLT was way higher than where she is. No flight to safety here. I go look at the monthly here. Monthly bull trap. Monthly bull trap. Now PPO reset on the monthly from 7 to 0. I like how that looks. But until she can get above 150, it doesn't matter. There's no flight to safety and there's no reason to own this. What about gold? What do you know? No reason to own gold yet either. Okay, well, what about XLU? Are people running into utilities? Not really. All right, utilities sold off. Utilities isn't breaking out. I mean, if this looked like a breakout, closed above, and now back below. That's a look above and fail. What about XLP? Okay, a little bit of protection here. What about XLE? Yep, trying to capture the 200 on the monthly. Well, where has she come from? I don't know. 22? So where's her big correction? Right? We don't see it. And when I look at this, you definitely have what could be the start of a brand new bull market here with this bull cross, the 40 above the 200. All of these look very good on the weekly. not a problem. The problem with this is the structure. Right? This is the problem. The same way this was a problem with pot stocks and all the other dog crap, it's a problem here. This is all overlapping. It all overlaps. So what does that mean? That's likely what's going on. So let's use that fib extension tool. 66. Look at that on the dot. Look at this POC. What is that? Those are trapped longs. It's also value. If you go back on the weekly, it's where all the volume pretty much was traded, or the most of the volume was traded. So yeah, this is a hard sell for me, right? Like that's not a buy. And like when I look at this, you're like, all right, where did it come from? I mean, it literally just went from 51 to 66. In the same time, the rest of the markets were crashing, basically. So up 30% in a month, and that's a buy? I mean, if it was a stock, sure. But if it's an ETF that's literally just gone straight up, I don't know. And if this is the structure, sorry, bulls. What comes after wave 5? Right. So I just can't, in good conscience, as we're approaching supply with bearish divergences that have been going back, just like you saw with SPY, right? I mean, what you're seeing is XLE and XLF are providing some level of safety, right? And XLF and XLE are above the 200. But this is tagged to 200 now like 6 times. Like this trade is over. And this is an impulsive move lower. There's no other way to look at it. That's a 1. Right? Now maybe it's part of something like this. Right? Every C wave is a 5-wave move lower. But what does that tell me? I'm not interested until you're above 41. Why? Because we're looking to sell the 50% retrace. By the way, that already happened. Maybe she retraces to 39. If she can't get above 39, I'm not interested. And the structure here looks awful. And I mean, look at the weekly. How many times are we going to come down and hit the bottom of this 40? Now, save the 40, which is nice. PPO still resetting. All looks good. Still in this ascending channel. No problem there. But this is all overlapping, and I don't see an impulse wave anywhere except down right here. This was not impulsive. They retraced this entire move. Think about that. This move up was retraced over 100%. Okay, maybe it's an expanding, right? Maybe it's something like this. Okay, going all the way back up, and then we're going lower. I don't know what to tell you. It just doesn't look great to me. Too overlapping. Now, above the 200, that's relative strength. But the 10's about to cross below the 200. I mean, unless they get going, the 10-period moving average, these are straight down, right? Straight down and sideways is going to put the 10 lower. So let's take a look at like the put call ratio. We pretty much did hit a double top here, going back to the COVID lows. So peak fear. No other way to look at it. Nasdaq percentage of stocks above the 200-day moving average. Pretty much capitulation lows. We need this to move higher before we bottom. New high, new low index for the NYSE can get worse. Right? Can definitely get worse. That's the thing here. Everyone wants to call bottom. This can definitely get worse. We have signs of a bottom, and some places are doing better than others. But remember, the markets top at different times, but they all bottom at the same time. That's why it's all the same market right now. Nothing has changed from that respect. And let's just take a look at a couple of pair trades here. Is this going to break down? This looks like a double bottom to me. 5-wave move lower, almost complete. Break this low one more time. That's your 5-wave move. Now, Maybe they break this low, maybe they don't. But this has been underperforming the whole time, right? This is what I mean by no participation from IWM. There's no participation. Let's take a look at SPY versus TLT. What do you know? You should still own SPY, and there is no flight to the bond market. Everyone wants to say, what are the bonds doing? What's the bond market signaling? Well, you can go watch all the bonds, or you can just look at this pair trade. Until this pair trade flips, people aren't flooding their money into the bond market. It's just not happening. What about gold? Nope. Remember, everyone wanted to buy gold? Yeah. Gold has done nothing. This is still guessing. You're still guessing. It's done nothing. Everyone still has their money in equities. And until that changes, I think and believe that the allocation is still in equities. If we see money flood out, well, then we reassess. But all we can do is take it one day at a time. And that being said, I hope you like the content. Hit the like button, subscribe to the YouTube channel, check us out on Twitter, share the videos, and you can always DM me.